The diploma was still warm in my hands when my mother leaned close, her perfume sharp enough to sting. "Maya needs college money," she whispered. "You'll cover it. You have that job offer." Behind her, my sister smiled, phone tilted just right to catch the sunlight. The crowd cheered. The dean shook hands. And my mother's grip on my arm tightened like a contract being signed without my consent. "If you refuse," she added, voice honey smooth, "don't bother coming home tonight." I looked at the diploma. 4 years. 80,000 in loans. 3 jobs. Nights I couldn't remember sleeping. Then I looked at her. "Okay," I said. She thought I meant yes. What I actually meant was, "Okay, I understand now. Stay until the end. You'll see what happens when the person everyone takes for granted finally stops paying. Before I tell you what I did next, tell me, where are you watching from? Have you ever been the one expected to sacrifice everything so someone else could have it easy? Drop a comment. Let me know I'm not alone." Growing up in the Chin household meant understanding your role early. My mother, Susan, assigned them like work shifts. My father, David, enforced them like company policy. And my sister Maya? She was the project everyone invested in. I was the investment no one noticed. When I was 10, I wanted piano lessons. My mother said, "Maya's starting violin. We can't afford both." When I made honor roll 3 years straight, she hung the certificate on the fridge behind a grocery list. When Maya got a B+ in algebra, Mom threw a celebration dinner. "She's trying so hard," Mom always said. You just do it naturally." Naturally. As if effort was invisible when it didn't come with tears. I learned to be quiet. Efficient. The one who didn't need reminders or encouragement or celebration. I became the background hum that kept everything running while Maya got to be the melody. At 16, I got my first job. Cashier at a drugstore, minimum wage, weekend shifts. Mom said, "Good. You can help with groceries." I did. Every paycheck, I handed over $40. Sometimes 60. "Family helps family," she'd say, tucking the cash into her wallet without looking up. Maya got an allowance. I got responsibilities. When college applications came around, my guidance counselor called me into her office. "Jade, you're top of your class. Full ride potential. Where are you applying?" I rattled off state schools. Safe. Affordable. Close. "What about Stanford? MIT? You have the scores." "Can't afford it." She frowned. "That's what financial aid is for." I didn't tell her that financial aid required my parents' tax returns. And my parents had made it very clear, if I went anywhere expensive, I was on my own. "We're investing in Maya's future," Dad said one night over dinner. "She needs the support. You're smart enough to figure it out." Translation, you're cheaper to maintain. I applied to the state university. Got in. Got a partial scholarship. Took out loans for the rest. 40,000 over 4 years. Every semester, I called financial aid, begging for extensions, adjustments, anything to keep the balance manageable. Maya applied to private schools. Art schools. Schools with campuses that looked like resorts. She got into one that cost 60,000 a year. Mom cried with joy. Dad opened champagne. "We'll make it work," Mom said, kissing Maya's forehead. I wasn't invited to the celebration dinner. During college, I worked. Campus library, 15 hours a week. Tutoring gig, 10 hours. Freelance graphic design on weekends. I lived in the cheapest dorm, ate ramen 4 nights a week, and bought textbooks secondhand or borrowed them from classmates. Maya posted Instagram photos from her dorm. Fairy lights. Tapestries. A mini fridge stocked with cold brew and organic yogurt. "Your sister's thriving," Mom texted me once. Attached was a photo of Maya at some campus art show, her painting displayed under soft gallery lighting. I was happy for her. I was. But I was also tired. So deeply tired. Every time I came home for break, the script was the same. Mom would hug me briefly, ask if I'd eaten, then immediately pivot to Maya. "She's struggling with her sculpture class. Do you think you could send her some money? Just to buy materials. She's so stressed." I'd send $50. Sometimes $100. Money I didn't have. Money I pulled from my emergency fund, which was really just a savings account I kept refilling and draining like a leaking sink. By senior year, my emergency fund was gone. My credit card was maxed. My student loan debt had ballooned to 83,000. But I was graduating. Summa cum laude. I had a job offer from a tech firm in Seattle. 75,000 starting salary. Benefits. Relocation bonus. For the first time in 4 years, I could breathe. Graduation day was bright. Too bright. The kind of sunshine that makes you squint even with sunglasses. The stadium filled with families, balloons, the low hum of 1,000 conversations layering into white noise. I sat in the third row, cap tilted slightly to block the glare. My phone buzzed. Mom, running late. Maya's fixing her makeup. Save us seats. I didn't respond. When my name was called, I walked across the stage. Shook the dean's hand. Smiled for the camera. The applause was polite, distant, like I was a stranger they were obligated to clap for. I found my family afterward in the crowd. Mom was fussing with Maya's hair. Dad was checking his phone. Jade. Mom finally noticed me. There you are. Congratulations, honey. She hugged me. It lasted 3 seconds. Let's get a photo, she said, already pulling Maya into frame. I stood to the side while Dad took pictures. Maya in the center, holding my diploma like it was a prop. Mom's arm around her. Me, half out of the frame, smile frozen. Perfect, Dad said. We went to lunch. Some Italian place Mom picked because Maya liked the breadsticks. We sat at a corner table, sunlight cutting through the blinds in sharp lines. Mom ordered wine. Maya ordered pasta. I ordered water and a salad. So, Mom said, leaning forward, folding her hands. We need to talk about next steps. I thought she meant my job. My move to Seattle. My future. Maya's tuition is due in August, she continued. We've been covering it, but it's getting hard. Your father's hours got cut. I set down my fork. I didn't know that. It's been tight, Dad admitted. We're managing. But Maya still has 3 more years. 3 more years. At $60,000 per year. I did the math automatically. $180,000. We were thinking, Mom said, her tone careful, practiced, now that you have that job offer, you could help. The restaurant noise faded. The clinking glasses. The low murmur of other families celebrating. All of it collapsed into a single point of silence. Help how? Cover her tuition, Mom said simply. You'll be making good money. You don't have rent yet. You can afford it. Maya was scrolling on her phone, not looking up. Like this conversation didn't involve her. Like it was already decided. I have $83,000 in student loans, I said quietly. You'll pay those off eventually, Mom said, waving a hand. This is about family. Maya needs support. You're the one in a position to give it. I stared at her. At the certainty in her face. The expectation. What if I say no? Her expression shifted. Not angry. Colder. Then don't bother coming home tonight. The words landed soft. Almost gentle. But the threat underneath was steel. Maya finally looked up. Mom, you didn't have to say it like that. I'm being honest, Mom said. Jade's an adult now. Adults contribute. If she's not willing to help her own sister, then maybe she doesn't value this family. I looked at my father. He was staring at his plate, silent. No defense. No pushback. Just complicity wrapped in cowardice. The waiter brought the check. Dad reached for it, but Mom touched his hand. Jade can get this, she said. She's celebrating. I pulled out my credit card. The one that was already maxed. Swiped it anyway. It went through. $47 for a lunch where I was told to fund my sister's future or lose my family. Outside, the sunlight felt sharper. Hotter. Mom hugged me again. Think about it, honey. Family helps family. Then they left. Maya waved from the car window, phone already back in her hand. I stood in the parking lot holding my diploma, the paper warm and slightly bent. For 4 years, I'd told myself it would get better after graduation. That once I had my degree, my job, my independence, everything would change. I was right. It did change. Just not the way they expected. I didn't go home that night. I went to my apartment, the small studio I'd been renting near campus. It smelled like old carpet and instant coffee. The walls were bare except for a calendar marking deadlines that no longer mattered. I sat on the edge of my bed, diploma still in hand, and opened my laptop. The job offer from the tech firm was in my inbox, flagged and saved. I read it again slowly. $75,000. Benefits. Relocation package worth $12,000. Start date, July 15th. 6 weeks away. I opened a new tab. Typed, student loan repayment calculator. $83,000 in loans. Standard repayment plan. 10 years. Monthly payment, roughly $760. I opened another tab. Cost of living, Seattle. Rent for a 1-bedroom, $1,800 minimum. Utilities, groceries, transportation. Another $1,000. Total monthly expenses before loan payments, roughly $2,800. $75,000 annual salary. After taxes, roughly $54,000. Monthly take-home, $4,500. $4,500 minus $2,800. $1,600 left. Minus loan payment. $840 left. $840 a month to save, to breathe, to exist as something other than a paycheck split between past debt and present survival. And my mother wanted me to add Maya's tuition on top of that. $60,000 a year. $5,000 a month. I laughed. Not from joy. From the sheer absurdity of it. They wanted me to go negative every single month for 3 years so Maya could finish an art degree she'd probably never use. I closed the laptop. Opened my phone. The family group chat glowed at the top of my messages. The last text was from Mom 2 hours ago. Mom, think about what we discussed. We can figure out a payment plan that works for you. A payment plan. Like I was a bank. Like my entire future was collateral they could leverage. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my banking app. I had 3 accounts. Checking, $412. Savings, $86. Credit card, maxed at $3,000. I stared at those numbers for a long time. Then I opened my email. Found the contact information for my future employer's HR department. Typed a new message. Subject, relocation date, request to move earlier. Hi. I wanted to confirm if it's possible to begin my relocation process earlier than mid-July. I'm available to start onboarding remotely as soon as next week if needed. Please let me know what options are available. Thanks. Jade Chen. I hit send before I could second guess it. Then I started packing. Not everything. Just essentials. Clothes. Laptop. Documents. The things I'd need to disappear quietly and completely. My phone buzzed. Maya, hey, sorry about lunch. Mom's just stressed. You know how she gets. I stared at the text. Typed, do you actually want me to pay for your college? Deleted it. Typed, have you ever considered getting a job? Deleted it. Finally typed, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Sent. She hearted the message. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The apartment was silent except for the faint hum of traffic outside. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed and faded. I thought about all the times I'd said yes when I meant no. All the times I handed over money I didn't have because family helps family. All the times I swallowed my exhaustion, my frustration, my anger, because making noise meant being difficult. And difficult daughters don't get loved. They get tolerated. Or discarded. I was so tired of being tolerated. The next morning, my phone lit up with a response from HR. Hi Jade. We can absolutely accommodate an earlier start. We'll arrange temporary housing in Seattle starting June 1st if that works for you. Remote onboarding begins as soon as you're settled. Looking forward to having you on the team. June 1st. 4 days away. I responded immediately. That works perfectly. Thank you. Then I called my landlord. Explained I'd be moving out early. He waived the last month's rent because I'd been reliable for 2 years. I started packing for real. Everything I owned fit into 6 boxes and 2 suitcases. That was it. For years of college. 22 years of life. 6 boxes. By noon, my apartment was empty. I stood in the middle of the bare room, the carpet still marked with indents from my furniture. My phone rang. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. Then Dad. Then Maya. I turned my phone off. That afternoon, I loaded everything into my car. A 2008 Honda Civic with a dent in the bumper and a check engine light that came on whenever it felt like it. I sat in the driver's seat, keys in hand. The apartment complex behind me. The highway ahead. One more thing to do. I turned my phone back on. Opened the family group chat. Typed. I'm not paying for Maya's college. I have my own loans. My own life. I'm moving to Seattle. Don't contact me unless you're ready to treat me like a person instead of a bank. I'll check in when I'm ready. If I'm ready. I hit send. Then I blocked all 3 of them. Not out of anger. Out of preservation. I started the car. Pulled out of the parking lot. Drove toward the interstate. In the rearview mirror, the apartment complex shrank. Then disappeared. The highway stretched ahead, flat and endless. For the first time in 4 years, I wasn't carrying anyone but myself. It felt lighter than I expected. The drive to Seattle took 3 days. I stopped in small towns with names I didn't bother remembering. Slept in motels that smelled like disinfectant and old carpet. Ate gas station sandwiches and drank bad coffee. Every night, I checked my phone. Messages piled up. None from the numbers I'd blocked, but from extended family. Cousins. An aunt. Aunt Lynn, your mother is very upset. What happened? Cousin Michelle, Maya's crying. She says you abandoned her. I didn't respond. I just turned the phone face down and watched cable news until I fell asleep. By the time I crossed into Washington, the landscape had shifted. Mountains appeared, dense and green. The air smelled different. Cleaner. The rain started just outside Olympia, soft and steady. I arrived in Seattle on June 2nd. The temporary housing HR arranged was a small furnished studio in Capitol Hill. It had a Murphy bed, a kitchenette, and a window overlooking a coffee shop. It was mine. Entirely mine. I sat on the bed and cried for the first time since graduation. Not sad tears. Just release. For years of pressure finally escaping. The next morning, I started onboarding. Virtual meetings, paperwork, training modules. My manager, Kevin, was kind. Efficient. Treated me like I knew what I was doing. Because I did. By the end of the first week, I had my own desk, my own projects, my own trajectory that had nothing to do with anyone else's needs. One evening, I walked to a park near my apartment. The sun was setting, painting the skyline in shades of pink and gold. Families were scattered across the grass. Dogs chased frisbees. Someone was playing guitar near the fountain. I sat on a bench and opened my phone. Unblocked my mother. There were 37 missed calls. 18 voicemails. Dozens of texts. I opened the most recent one. Mom, you're being selfish and cruel. Maya's future is at stake. How can you live with yourself? I read it twice. Then typed. I'm living with myself just fine. That's the problem. You never thought I could. I hit send. Then blocked her again. Not out of anger. Out of finality. 2 months later, I got an email from my loan servicer. My first payment was due. $760. I paid it in full. On time. Without asking anyone for help. The confirmation email arrived 3 minutes later. I printed it. Folded it neatly. Placed it in a folder labeled proof. That folder would grow. Payment confirmations. Pay stubs. Apartment lease. Evidence of a life I built without their permission. One evening in late August, Maya called from an unknown number. I answered without thinking. Jade. Her voice was small. Uncertain. Yeah. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. About everything. I waited. Mom and Dad, they're selling the house. They can't afford my tuition anymore. I'm transferring to community college. I should have felt satisfaction. Some sense of justice. But I just felt tired. That's probably for the best, I said quietly. Are you ever coming home? I don't know. Maybe. When it doesn't feel like a trap. She was quiet for a long time. Then, I never asked you to pay for me. No. But you never told them to stop asking. She hung up. I set the phone down. Outside, rain tapped against the window. Soft. Rhythmic. The city glowed in blurred neon. I opened my laptop. Checked my bank account. $4,200 saved. Not much. But more than I'd ever had. Evidence of space. Of boundaries. Of a life lived forward instead of backward. 6 months after I left, I got a letter. Not an email. An actual letter. Handwritten. It was from my father. Jade. Your mother won't admit this, but we were wrong. We treated you like a resource instead of a daughter. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. We're okay. Downsized. Maya's adjusting. Your mother misses you, even if she won't say it. If you ever want to talk, we're here. Dad. I read it 3 times. Then placed it in the folder marked proof. Not as vindication. Just as evidence that change, even slow and painful, was possible. I didn't write back. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I kept the letter. 1 year after graduation, I got promoted. Project lead. $85,000 salary. My own team. I celebrated alone. Ordered takeout. Watched the city lights from my apartment window. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Unknown, hi, this is Maya. I got a job. Part-time, but it's something. Thought you'd want to know. I stared at it for a long time. Then typed, proud of you. She didn't respond. But 15 minutes later, she sent a photo. Her at a cash register, wearing a green apron, smiling. It wasn't reconciliation. It wasn't forgiveness. It was just proof that maybe, finally, she was learning what I'd known all along. You can't build a life on someone else's foundation. You have to pour your own. 2 years later, I'm still in Seattle. Still paying down my loans. Still building something that belongs entirely to me. I haven't gone home. Maybe I will someday. Maybe I won't. But I'm not waiting for permission anymore. Family isn't a debt you owe. It's a choice you make. And some choices take years to feel right. But when they do, the silence doesn't ache anymore. It just sounds like peace. If you've ever been told to sacrifice your future for someone else's comfort, this one's for you. Drop a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me what freedom looks like in your life. Because somewhere out there, someone needs to hear that walking away isn't selfish. It's survival. And survival is the first step toward something better. Thanks for listening.